Hello, Year 10. Today is about helping you to understand what I will be looking for, what your English teachers will be looking for in a high-end response. So today I've written a sample essay just on this question: compare how the rejection of materialism is explored in First They Killed My Father and Into the Wild, okay? And by no means is this essay perfect, but it is nevertheless an essay that has been written with the intention of showing you what you are going to be working towards. Now, this is probably sitting at, well, I would hope it would be sitting up here around a 10.5. I'm going to argue that it is. Feel free to disagree with me. Just be ready to prove your point. But what I want to show you is, what have I done? What has this essay done? And what will your essay do if it's going to be up here in this 10.5 level? Now, to explain these different levels to you, so 7.5 is the end of year 7 / the start of year 8, okay? So at the current moment in time, you should be at a level 9 or a 9.5 roughly, okay? So if you're in a 10, all right, or a 10.5, that's doing really well. So I'm looking for you guys this time to be around the 9.5 or the 9 range, okay? And it depends too if you are pretty confident with writing comparatively, okay? We've done a little bit of it before, not a lot. And again, remember I said last time, it's about the improvement. So it's about seeing you guys move up. So if you're at 7.5 or 8 or 8.5 last time, what I want to see is for you to move up here. So if I was to take someone from my class, Ali May, I'll use you as an example. Ali May last time I think was sitting around an achievement level 10. You might have been higher, Ali May. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I want to see now is for her to move to that 10.5. Maybe not in all of these sections, but maybe we've really been focusing on writing, all right, and editing. So we'll see that movement up to 10.5 here. The only time you'll see me definitely concerned is if for some reason you've gone down. So if we've seen you go down in features of literary texts. Anyway, this is what your matrix will look like. You will get a hard copy of this, and in class we will spend time going through each of these different little sections. Content descriptors is the fancy word for them. But today, in this screencast, I really just want to focus on these top ones. So I'm going to flick screens now. I'm actually going to flick to a Word doc, because the best way for me to show you what this looks like is by showing it to you in an essay. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to go to this Word doc. Alright, so the intention is to use the essay that I wrote this morning to show you where the things from that matrix or matrices come in. Alright, so remember, just a question, my question, sorry, was compare how the rejection of materialism is explored in First They Killed My Father, Into the Wild. This is one of your practice questions, okay? We're going to give you 2 practice questions, then 2 real questions. Alright, what do you need to know? All you need to know is that, like any old essay, I've got 3 paragraphs. That's basically the same, okay, as any essay you've probably written. So my first is on choice versus force, which is the idea that McCandless has a choice along as force. Noble versus real, which is in the presentation of ideas in each text, okay? Noble means like something superior. And then selfish versus necessary, okay? Let's just flick back though. Here, so our first one is evaluate how the audience is positioned to understand key concepts, e.g. romanticism. We've talked about romanticism a fair bit indirectly, okay? This whole notion of things being really glossy and really pretty. It's not romantic as in I love you, okay? So evaluate. So to evaluate something is to like make a judgment. So let's have a look at what I might have done to evaluate. So I'm just going to flick here. Alright, evaluate. So I've just clicked on it. So hopefully you can see here that when I click on my track change here, okay, and I might just zoom it in a bit so you can see it on your screen, it obviously becomes a stronger red here. Alright, so evaluate how the audience is positioned to understand key concepts, for example, romanticism. Here I've written the lyric is going to rise up, reinforce the notion. Reinforce is how we are positioned, all right? The lyrics position us. So how the audience is positioned, the lyrics position the audience to see McCandless's choices as something idealistic or romantic. So I've talked about romanticism. Tick, I can do that, okay? The next one over is compare language choices and imagery in text, including the manipulation of film techniques. Language choices, how Lung writes about life under the Khmer, how Penn uses dialogue from McCandless, and then, of course, imagery. The imagery is really big, of course, in a film. In this case, the imagery of nature, of the wild. You might compare that imagery to the imagery that Ung uses of nature as being something harsh or oppressive. So going back, compare language choices and imagery. So that's just below here. So Lung's descriptions of life on the country, working the land, lack the same romantic element ascribed to McCandless's pursuit. So there's a difference here. See how my comparison is weaved in. Ung suggests that life on the farm is boring and dull, which contrasts the way in which McCandless idolizes the natural world above man-made society. This is reinforced through Penn's cinematography. All right, the manipulation of film techniques, cinematography. And then here, I've actually given a specific example, all right, of that cinematography. And I've talked about that Christ scene and Eddie Vedder's The Wolf, okay, and how that works. That's what we did for homework and a little bit we looked at in class. That's 2 down, 2 of our boxes. That's strategy I have right now. Third one comes up here. Interrogate and makes the same judgments about a text in relation to the prompt. Judgments, not as in I like the text or I dislike the text, but it has to be a judgment relating to the prompt. So in this case, our prompt is the rejection of materialism. So let's find this. I reckon it's down here. Here we go. Interrogate and make judgment about text in relation to the prompt. I've made a judgment here because I've said Ung's choice to renounce materialism is necessary. Necessary is a judgment. It is a word that connotes a specific idea, okay? McCandless's pursuit is selfish. Necessary versus selfish, okay? I have made judgment about each text, but more importantly, I've done it in relation to the prompt. I haven't just said I like it or I haven't liked it. I've talked about the rejection of materialism. I have said specifically that the rejection of materialism is necessary for Lung and it is selfish for McCandless. Very specific there, okay? So that's covered everything under reading and viewing. So reading and viewing is basically understanding, okay? Understanding the film. So that's one part of it. The other part of our essay, of course, is writing about the film. The film and the book, equally as important. We've got to understand it, we've got to show that we understand it, and we've got to write about it, okay? So editing's pretty straightforward for most of you, I hope. Refine own text for control of content, organization, sentence structure, vocabulary to achieve particular purposes and effects. So that's about using the right phrasing, okay? So here, I've just selected, and I could literally have selected any sentence, but I've just picked out a sentence that Miss Brooks has written, I think, for us. And it just says, accompanied by a montage of McCandless euphorically traipsing through the American wilderness. So it's about the specific sentence structure. It's about using, and I should have written this here, meta language, okay, is one of the words that you'll hear used more and more this year. You know, montage is part of that meta language. It's the language we use to talk about a film or a text. But it could also be my paragraph structure, the fact I've got 3 paragraphs. It could also refer simply to having a topic sentence, okay? So that's editing. Now, our final one is grammar. Use abstract nouns to denote a theme, idea, quality, or state. Don't get too caught up with this abstract nouns. Have a look at this part. Theme, idea, quality, or state. So it's about what I'm linking to in one of these ideas. So if I scroll down again, abstract nouns are nouns that refer to ideas, feelings, or qualities. Ideas, feelings, or qualities. Alright, so what's an example of this? McCandless is heroic and admirable. They are feelings and qualities, okay? Well, they're probably qualities, okay? So I've been able to use my abstract nouns to talk about an idea, in this case, romanticism or the presentation of McCandless, okay? So this is what your matrix will look like. It might be slightly different to this. We might change it, okay? I'll get it to you in the very near future. If you have any questions, please feel free to come and see me or see your English teacher, or the other person that's really good in terms of matrices is Mrs. Stanbrook. I hope this helps. I hope you feel confident on what you're going to be assessed on.